deep, and then they'll start with their first possession at the 25-yard line. Last year, Josh Turbeville handling the kickoffs, 4th in the SEC with a 72% touchback rate, and that one all the way to the goal line. And so our format for today: white team the offense, orange team the defense, and they'll trade possessions. Points not live, 15-minute quarters in our first half, and then a running clock in the 3rd and 4th quarters. Big goal: get everybody out of here happy, healthy, and with a little bit more experience under the belt. And quarterbacks in the gray jerseys today with no contact on those guys, of course. Dustin, after we sat down and talked with Josh Heupel yesterday with Tim Banks, the defensive coordinator, what are the things you're most eager to see this afternoon? So Iamaleava under pressure and throws it away on the opening possession of the game. Under pressure there from Jeremiah Thielander, breaking through on the offensive line. Led Tennessee freshman last year with 35 tackles in the 2023 season. Certainly getting more experience, and we'll see plenty of him today. A reminder, Keenan Peely, the 7th-year linebacker who was hurt against Virginia in the opener last year, not playing today as a precautionary measure. And the handoff here on 2nd down goes to Deshaun Bishop, the redshirt freshman from right here in Knoxville, and the tackle by Caleb Perry.
Well, you see Bishop right there. That's another guy who's going to get some opportunities here, Mike, because of some of the injuries to Lewis and Selden there in the backfield. And, you know, Bishop's got a lot of potential. Didn't play last year. Took the redshirt year. Was a little bit banged up. And now here in this spring game, an opportunity.
Iamaleava with a 3rd down and 6.
You can see, look at him diagnosing the defense, having a chance to make the line,
and he gets just a 4-man rush. The throw to the outside, just past the original line of scrimmage, and taken in by Chaz Nimrod on the edge. Now, interesting too in this game is that this year you can have the helmet communication in college football, the addition of the 2-minute warning as well. But at the speed at which the Volunteers play, they're still going to be using sidelines in from the, or signals in from the sidelines, because they feel that's the fastest and most effective way to communicate what they're doing.
I also think it's important too, when you know you're dealing with a freshman quarterback, you don't want to put too much on his plate. And also you want everybody on the same page, right? So everybody takes a look over to the sideline, they signal in the call, and then sort of at the last second, Coach Heupel can get in the ear of Nico and maybe tell him to look a certain way, or take a peek at where the Mike linebacker is, or there's some movement, or maybe you've got some pre-snap motions that you want to keep an eye on to try and tell if the defense is in a man or zone coverage.
That was Jackson Ross, who's going to be a 2nd-year starter come this fall, with a 48-yard punt to the freshman Boo Carter, coming out of Chattanooga, and they love him in the ESPN 300, listed simply as an athlete. It seems like they could have put him on either side of the ball, but right now he's listed behind Jordan Thomas at their nickel position coming into the spring game. So the second unit going to be led by Gaston Moore at quarterback. He's got Khalifa Keefe in the backfield with him. Moore, the redshirt senior, 10 of 17 through the air in his career. And Josh Heupel really pleased with the progress he's made in this spring. Feels the pressure, gets it to the outside, and it's Dayton Sneed who makes the catch and gets across the 35-yard line.
Again, the tempo is going to go fast here, Mike. Even with your 2nd-team quarterback, you want to run the same offense, the same tempo. And again, you see everybody looking off to the sidelines, calling the plays. Remember, Coach Heupel not calling the plays during the spring game.
Moore fakes the handoff, fastball to the 39-yard line, and the first touch for Chris Brazel, the 2nd. Hoping to be yet another impact transfer wide receiver here as he's taken down by Jalen McMurray. That's 2 transfers, one at wide receiver, and McMurray, the transfer at cornerback, coming in from Temple.
Yeah, and I like that tackle by McMurray. You know, play cornerback in this conference, you got to be physical on the outside. That was excellent.
Moore with a clean pocket, and it's a little bit too tall on the outside. That'll bring up 3rd down and 6. First look to the edge there for Mike Matthews, the top recruit in the class of 2024, coming here to Knoxville. Defense shows blitz off the edge. Flag, it's a free play. Deep ball, single coverage deep downfield. And a little bit too much on it. But it looked like there was a jump from the defense on that blitz from the slot. Pass intended for Matthews going downfield.
Offside on the defense, number 94. 5-yard penalty. Replay third down.
So more here at quarterback on this second team. Fourth-year transfer from UCF. A walk-on, has played in 7 games in his career, but no doubt instrumental in the transition to the starting role for Nico Iamaleava. Blitz comes again after the penalty, and on the handoff, it is just enough for first down yardage there for the sophomore running back Khalifa Keith. Edwin Spillman, the freshman, comes up to meet him.
And I got to tell you, Mike, I'm right behind the play, and I heard that. It sent chills into my bones.
Pressure coming, check down throw. Goes over the middle as they get toward midfield from Moore, who felt that pressure coming.
Mike, you mentioned Spillman, the freshman. They're really excited about him. And again, with some of the linebackers, including Herring and Peely not playing in this game, you're going to see a lot of Spillman. One of the great lines that Coach Banks told us yesterday was that he craves violence from the linebacker position. Another good throw there over the middle.
And a hard hit as well. Dayton Sneed, the redshirt freshman, pulls that ball in and gets hit by Boo Carter. So the second team unit working well here. And a handoff on first down is bottled up right at the line of scrimmage. Offense this year returns 46% of its production from a year ago. And the run game has been elite. They've run for more than 2,500 yards in 3 straight years for the first time ever. Last year, 9th in FBS at 205 yards per game on the ground.
It's so funny too, Mike. You know, a lot of people think that this Tennessee offense is just, you know, running, gun, and throw. But they've had great running backs. And again, you got 2 guys that are going into the NFL draft this year. Both will be selected. And now you hopefully have another one in Dylan Sampson, but you still have to have a couple more. We talked about that in the open, and they're really looking for somebody to step up.
Good pocket, ball lofted deep near sideline and incomplete. Just a little bit too long. Looking for Chris Brazel in the end zone. But you're going to see a lot of depth today. We're going to see Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop and Khalifa Keith and the walk-on Hunter Barnes. Cam Selden, surgery out, would be number 2 on the depth chart right now, and Peyton Lewis, a freshman signee, hurt in his high school season, but they certainly expect him back for the start of preseason camp.
All right, so big 3rd and 9 here. They went to Brazel on that 2nd and long, took a shot. They got him single coverage here again.
And they see an opening in the defense with the handoff. It's a run short of the first down as Spillman once again comes up to make the tackle on Khalifa Keith. And they like Spillman a lot. You've got 2 new coaches on the staff this year. William Inge, one of those, coming in to coach the linebackers, and says of Spillman, he's one of my favorite players to coach because I never have to speed him up. I only have to slow him down because of the way he wants to play and get to the ball. And he's from Tulane as he comes back out on the field here with Nico Iamaleava and company. And Iamaleava showing off his ability to get up there. Of course, anytime that they close in on him, the play is going to be blown dead. But we saw him do that last year in their bowl game. 3 touchdowns on the ground. And Dustin, he's really excited about having the new weapon out there in Brazel on the outside.
Yeah, Brazel's a really fun prospect here. You know, he could have stayed at Tulane. Willie Fritz and that offensive staff, they decided to go on to Houston. And so there were options for Brazel. He could have stayed there. He had a great role. He was a very productive receiver for the Green Wave, but decides to come here to UT. And I really think there's a great opportunity for him. And then when you look at it on the outside, he's 6'5", right? But he's a little bit different than Thornton, who also goes about 6'5", 6'6". And here he is, wide open on the outside. And you can see already Nico trying to get the football to number 11. The thing that's interesting, too, about Brazel, you know, Brazel's a former high school basketball player, so he's got that ability to go up and make plays, especially in the red zone. I think that's going to give this offense a big threat down there.
And it yields another punt here with a minute to go in the quarter. So no Broom McCoy today as he works his way back from his injury. Squirrel White out today as well. The Brazel has looked good here in the early going. We've seen some deep balls thrown toward Mike Matthews, and the freshman Boo Carter is back to receive this punt. He's been in the mix in their return game and takes that at the 40-yard line. 42 yards on the punt. The interesting thing is about Carter, Dustin, you know, you talk about managing expectations through spring ball, how much you can learn, and then into the fall. When you talk about guys who are young, especially trying to get into the rotation, in 39 games with Josh Heupel as the head coach, freshman defensive backs have only started 2. So yes, great players, but what you have built now in 3 full seasons plus going into year 4 with another recruiting class is depth. So you have great freshmen coming in, but the expectation isn't always that they're going to be on the field right away.
No, that's a great point. I mean, young players have time to come here and develop. And even though they struggled last year and some guys transferred and some guys going to the NFL, you're almost always getting somebody drafted from this secondary, which is pretty impressive. And the reason why a kid like Boo Carter, who had 39 Division I offers, decided to come be a volunteer.
Gaston Moore at the helm here on this drive. And he looks for a quick throw across the middle, has the completion to midfield, and a little bit of extra effort to pick up the first down. 11 yards on the play. On the gain to Charlie Browder, the tight end.
And I was looking at Browder before the game down here as he's warming up. 6'7". He looks like he's 6'10". He looks like he could be playing center for the basketball team.
Ball is tipped and incomplete, intended for Dante Thornton. They're really excited, Dustin, about this tight end group as well, with Miles Kitzelman coming in from Alabama, Holden Stays coming in from Notre Dame as well.
Yeah, and this is an offense with Coach Heupel that really wants to have 2 tight ends involved in their offense. They've had 2 tight ends darn near every season that Coach has been here at UT. And now you look at maybe Kitzelman and Stays kind of taking over that role as the 2 big tight ends in this offense.
Ball to the edge is incomplete as Jordan Matthews gets a hand in there and breaks it up on the ball intended for Dante Thornton. And that takes us to the end of the first quarter. Defense and special teams. Josh Dobbs here as well as we get ready to get the second quarter underway. Mike Cousins and Dustin Fox along with you on this gorgeous afternoon inside Neyland Stadium. Getting a look at year 4 of the Josh Heupel era, and boy, have records fallen in fast fashion. 19 different team offensive records have fallen. The best scoring teams ever have been during his tenure. And in 3 years, Tennessee averaging 39 points a game in 3 seasons. Only Ohio State and Georgia have averaged more over the last 3 seasons in college football. So far today, though, no scoring as Gaston Moore is at quarterback here to start the second quarter. And a toss over the middle. It's Charlie Browder with the catch. And he's right to the first down marker at the 39-yard line. So Moore, the redshirt senior, zings that 35-yard line catch and another first down. So they're moving the ball quickly here. They get it out to the edge with Dayton Sneed making the catch from Moore, the 4th-year transfer from UCF. Played in 7 games in his career, and with having a younger quarterback taking over here, he's gotten the most reps of his career during this spring practice.
I'm back.
And now a quick stoppage. Aiden Bussell, the redshirt freshman offensive lineman, a little bit slow, but back to his feet there, getting up after that throw.
Mike, I'm back with you. I was talking NASA with Josh Dobbs.
NASA?
Well, we're talking about the Clips. Remember, he spent a little time in Cleveland. We're going to get him here momentarily. We're going to talk a little bit about the Volunteers and the total eclipse. How about that?
Love it.
Josh recently signed with San Francisco.
Well, Dustin, we see Aiden Bussell here, who's the injured offensive lineman. Certainly down some depth here on the offensive line today, and I think that's going to be one of the questions going in, is to see who's battling for starting jobs there. And most notably, not playing today, the center, Cooper Mays, simply a precautionary measure to make sure that he's healthy going into the summer and the fall.
Yeah, I always think the center is the most important position on that offensive line. And, you know, Mays, who's a senior, was second-team All-SEC a season ago. You got to have him. You know, having a senior center with a freshman quarterback is absolutely the perfect combination, because those two really need to be in sync.
They're really excited about the left tackle they brought in, Lance Hurd, the transfer from LSU, who comes with 3 years of eligibility. And Josh Heupel could not have sung his praises any better, saying he's been a perfect addition not only on the field, on the left side of the offensive line, but as a locker room contributor as well.
I always find that fascinating too, when you're a transfer and you come in here, especially when you're a veteran. How do you fit in, right? I mean, how do the guys respond to you in the locker room? I think that's one of the most important things. And I always think it's good that guys get an opportunity to get in here early when you make that transfer, play in spring ball, participate, as opposed to sometimes these guys transfer in, they're just going right into the season. So now an opportunity for the guys to really mesh prior to fall camp.
Especially when you're going up against guys who a year ago you had to say, hey, I don't like those guys. We're trying to beat those guys and get to the SEC championship game. And now those are the guys you're going to war with.
You change the ties real quickly.
So 3rd and 1 as they get the ball into the red zone, and the handoff to Wilk does get them the first down. Here's an interesting spot, Dustin, to watch how the defense fares here. That's one of the areas that Josh Heupel said they want to improve for 2024, is getting stops in the red zone and not settling for 3, but getting 6.
Well, and I think that's where you talk about those corners on the outside, and can they match up with the big, tall wide receivers, especially on this drive. I mean, we're looking at Thornton here, who's standing right in front of me, as he goes about 6'6", 6'5", 214.
That's the linebacker Jalen Smith heading off to the sideline for the Vols defense.
Geico makes car insurance easy. As easy as getting stuffed up.
Number 4 as the defensive coordinator last year, 32nd in the country in yards allowed, 21st in efficiency. During Heupel's tenure as well, because of how fast the offense plays, the defense has been out there for almost 2,900 snaps, the second most in FBS, as the offense goes to work here in the red zone. And there's good blocking in front, and we have our first touchdown of the afternoon. Touchdown for Dayton Sneed, the redshirt freshman wide receiver, and he puts the first 6 on the board on a 13-yard catch and scramble into the end zone.
It's a heck of a job by Sneed on the outside. You'll see the freshman defensive back Farouk come in there, 26. Just kind of whiffs on the tackle, and a great job by Sneed finding the end zone.
Sneed in competition with Chaz Nimrod and Caleb Webb and Mike Matthews. All behind Brew McCoy, Squirrel White, Dante Thornton, and Chris Brazel. So here comes the extra point. Max Gilbert, the redshirt freshman from Memphis. And he puts that up and through. Gilbert arrived on campus December of 2022, got to participate as Nico Iamaleava did in their Orange Bowl practices, and then started taking classes January of 2023. Last year, their kicker, Charles Campbell, was a grad transfer from Indiana. Chase McGrath a couple years before that. And we heard from Josh Heupel when we started the afternoon, Dustin, that this is as deep as he feels like they've been in 4 years. They're going to be healthy with McCoy. They've gotten better with Brazel. And that allows them to be able to be deep, because you've got to, how fast they play to get guys in, out, and ready to go.
I think McCoy is the key. You know, when you get him back, it was a devastating injury for him a season ago. And that sort of moved things around. You know, last year Thornton was playing inside. He's more of an outside wide receiver. You've got to get all these guys healthy. We know Squirrel White is going to be in the slot. And then you got Brazel probably playing the other side. I just think they've got a plethora of weapons here for Nico to really evolve this offense and take the step forward, similar to the way that they were in 2022.
A record-setting season, and one guy we're not seeing today as well, who's a really exciting addition, is Braylon Staley, the incoming freshman, number 21 wide receiver in the high school class. going to make the coaching tape there. Even though no return, you want to be as good as you can on special teams, as Deshaun Bishop comes off the field after the kick from JT Carver. And you mentioned the wide receivers, that 2022 season. Jalen Hyatt, the program's first Boletnikoff Award winner, first unanimous All-American since Eric Berry in 2009.
And Coach Heupel was very quick to remind me that it's not just Hyatt and Tillman going to the NFL. There's a lot of wide receivers that have come through this program under Heupel, and he's put a lot of dudes in the league everywhere he's been.
Jake Merklinger leading the offense here. The freshman, 6'3", 205 out of Savannah, Georgia. Enrolled in January. He's got Hunter Barnes, the walk-on, with him in the backfield. Good pocket, ball to the outside. And a 9-yard pickup with the throw to the edge. Catch there by Jack Henry Jacobic. Now to the opposite side. And this is an interesting point too, Dustin, as Trey Weary gets the grab, is when guys transfer in here, especially heard it from the tight ends, but you hear from the wide receivers, one of the differences for this offense is how wide their splits are for the receivers.
I was just noticing that. I mean, they're splitting out well beyond the numbers as there's a deep shot down the field and a little bit too much contact. I think you let that one go. I'm a former defensive back, by the way.
Pass interference on the defense, number 15. 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot, and it carries an automatic first down.
But I do want to get some of your knowledge on this, Dustin, about those wide splits and how it pertains to making things more difficult for the defense. What does that do relative to an offense that plays a little bit more compact?
Well, the number one thing it does is you get defenders split out from the core. And whether those guys are going to be involved in the play or not, it still is something you have to pay attention to. And so you get guys out there well beyond the numbers. You can see both sides. But when they run those stack formations, that's what's really interesting. And you throw those quick sort of now screens, almost like designed runs. Merklinger, nice wheels there, getting outside the pocket there.
Yeah, he gets inside the 30, so a gain of about 15 yards there for Merklinger on the run.
But really, Mike, back to your point about those splits. I mean, some of it's just window dressing. I mean, you want to get a corner, a safety away from the core, and a lot of times you end up just running the football.
Merklinger, low snap, handoff goes to Hunter Barnes, the redshirt sophomore walk-on out of Memphis. And Merklinger continues a string of high-rated recruits coming in here at quarterback as well. Their fourth ESPN 300 quarterback to sign with Tennessee, going back to 2016. And of course, you've got Nico Iamaleava taking over the reins, who was ranked 23rd overall in the 2023 high school class and the number 5 quarterback in that group. Closing in on 5 minutes to the half as Merklinger waits in the pocket and steps up to run again. He's got some space to the 10, and he is in for the touchdown. A 26-yard scramble.
You know, that's one of the things they really like about Merklinger is his ability to run. As a quarterback, you talked about how highly rated he was out of high school, but this is a guy who ran for 32 touchdowns as well. So not just a pocket passer, very mobile quarterback. And, you know, obviously in this game, you get touched, you're down. He was untouched right up the middle, sees that thing part and finds his way to the end. Now for their white squad. Hard to tell which team's going which direction, but that's the white team, put 6 on the board.
And now Josh Turbyville, the redshirt sophomore, Knoxville native, for the extra point to try and even things up. Last year, their kickoff man, and in a 3-man race along with Carver and Gilbert to be the place kicking specialists for this year's team. Merklinger round in 2020, and Dobbs, who played here for the Vols 2013 to 2016, a 4th-round pick back in 2017. And let's go down to Dustin with Josh Dobbs.
Hey, Mike, I'm down here on the sidelines with a volunteer legend, Josh Dobbs. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's always good to be back on Rocky Top.
How about this weather today, man?
gorgeous, gorgeous. We were playing some golf yesterday on the links, and it was tough out here in Knoxville, but it opened up a great day here on Saturday for some football.
Big golfer?
Big golfer, big golfer. We had a good competition between all the VFLs out there at Tennessee National. It was a good day.
Who's the best?
My team may have won, but you can't win your own tournament, so I won't say.
All right, so I do have to ask you, you played for the Browns, and you were in Cleveland last week. I'm a Cleveland guy too, by the way, and you love space. We all know about that your history with NASA and all that stuff. So what was the eclipse like? You were in Cleveland, you saw it.
It was absolutely amazing, like to see totality, to see it downtown Cleveland on the Great Lakes at the Great Lakes Science Center with NASA and the STEM and the kids there, man. It was a beautiful event to take in. It's really once in a lifetime to take it in that setting and that experience. So it was a great time, and it was great to be back in Cleveland with some good weather.
I'm sure you're considering getting into space or doing something after football, but you're still playing. You've been in the league for a while now. You've been on a million teams. I asked you, we were off the air, is this your 8th team?
I think so. At this point, it's like, might as well get all the helmets. It'll be a crazy collection. But no, I'm just grateful for the next opportunity to be out in San Fran. I got Juwan Jennings out there. I got some familiar faces on a really good team that's played a lot of really good football with a tremendous coaching staff and front office. So I'm excited for my next opportunity, man. And we'll see where the world takes us. You know how it goes. You take it one day at a time, put your best foot forward, maximize all the opportunities that are thrown your way, and you do that, man. When you look up, you'll be very proud of your journey.
I have to ask you, last year, one of the great stories in the NFL was you. You're traded to Arizona, and then you end up in Minnesota like the next week, it seemed like. It was crazy. And then you come in the game against the Vikings and lead a remarkable comeback. How cool was that?
It was so cool, man. Like, it was a whirlwind of a couple weeks, just like getting traded and not thinking you're going to get traded, and trade deadline happening. Oh, we got a big play going on. Okay.
What do you think about that play?
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Crazy seeing Big O with the tackle all the way down the field. That was a great hustle by Big O, man. He's awesome. Amari does a great job on and off the field. Representing the
We'll turn around here.
But yeah, it was a crazy story, man. Crazy journey throughout the year. But I'm thankful for it. It makes me who I am.
Well, how about that throw? Tell me about that throw from Nico.
There we go. We've been waiting to see something right there. That was a great throw, great drive. Good to see Nico lead the Vols down for a touchdown. I'll be excited to see that all fall this year.
There's been so many great quarterbacks to play for the Volunteers, and fans here in Volunteer Nation are pumped about Nico. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, I think one is just maturity that I felt in the times I've been able to spend some time around the guys. I was able to throw with them a couple months ago, and just the way he was, it was like a Friday night on a college campus in the middle of the winter, and he had the entire receiver corps in the complex throwing with me to get some work in. And I think that shows the maturity that he has, the maturity that this team has, and that's the leadership that they'll need to go in throughout the season, throughout a really good and tough conference in the SEC. So
you just signed with San Francisco recently. How's that process been? What are your expectations for the upcoming season? I'm looking forward to it, man. I've watched them from afar. I played them last year when I was in Arizona. So they have a tremendous team. So I'm excited, man, to embrace my role in that QB room and help us hopefully take the step which they've gotten so close to over the past 4 years and getting that Super Bowl. Josh, we appreciate your time so much, man. Best of luck. No doubt. Thank you, and go Vols always. All right, there is Josh Dobbs. More to come from Rocky Top when we come back.
Yeah, Dustin, a great drive. Finished off 27-yard strike. Nico Iamaleava to Chaz Nimrod. And Nico per first half. And a beautiful strike. Nico Iamaleava to finding Chaz Nimrod, the redshirt sophomore, down the sideline in the end zone. And Dustin, Nico a perfect 6 for 6, 91 yards and that touchdown.
And he made Josh Dobbs proud. He was excited down here on the sidelines watching the new shiny toy get his opportunity here in Neyland Stadium. What a great throw on that touchdown pass, and just down the field you said 6 for 6. I think Coach Heupel will take that efficiency.
Quarterbacks have been solid. Nico 6 for 6, 91 yards. Gaston Moore 8 of 12, 81 yards and a touchdown. And the freshman Jake Merklinger 3 of 4, 20 yards and the rushing touchdown, taking the space up the middle. This drive 36 seconds. It's Moore at quarterback as they start out at the 25. Moore out of the pocket on the run. 26 seconds first half. We still got more coming your way at the half as well. 2 new position coaches joining the squad this year. William Inge to coach the linebackers, joined in late February. Last year, the co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach for Washington, which went to the college football playoff championship game. and Darrell Sims, who joined the staff on February 20th, coaching the running backs. And you'll learn more about those new additions to the staff coming up at the half. Caleb Webb the grab on the edge. 17 seconds in the first. Offense calling timeout.
Timeout, offense.
And Dustin, to go back to Nico Iamaleava as well, who may, after that last drive, be done for the day. They get him his reps and keep him healthy onto the sideline. It's been interesting hearing about his journey, going from a guy who was an early enrollee before the 2022 Orange Bowl win over Clemson to last year getting to watch and wait and then take over in the bowl game. That they wouldn't necessarily describe him as an introvert, but a guy who has not yet been the one who's going to be the vocal guy because he hasn't had that playing experience, like you said, within the SEC. But he's formed his relationships in one-on-one conversations and welcome guys into the fold, especially with a lot of new faces on offense.
Yeah, and I go back to when I was a freshman. It's really difficult to come into a team and expect people to, sort of rally around you or listen to you. Obviously, I wasn't playing quarterback, and he is. But now that it's his job, what a throw that is.
Moore lets it fly, and the timeout pays off because Mike Matthews, the number 5 wide receiver in the ESPN 300, takes it, runs 63 yards, and a touchdown with some time to spare.
Wow, Rocky Top salivating now as they see the young receiver making some plays. What speed on the outside by Mike Matthews. And when we had a chance to chat with Coach Heupel this week, he was raving about Mike Matthews, and this is a guy that really probably could play defense or offense. Was a great safety in high school. Great size, 6'1", 186. And I really like what Coach Heupel told us yesterday is it's a guy that really hasn't seen a lot of press coverage from the wide receiver position.
And that's, you talk about the many ways in which making a jump to the SEC is difficult. Max Gilbert with the extra point is that anybody who's playing college football at the Power 5 level, no matter where you're coming from, save for maybe playing at IMG Academy in Florida, you are far and away the best player on your team, in your league, maybe in your region, your state, and all of a sudden you're playing against the best guys from everywhere that they came from.
And I think the SEC probably plays the most man coverage of any conference in college football because they've got such great athletes on the outside. And, when you're the best player in high school, you're going up against a corner who's probably lining up 10 yards off you, playing zone coverage, and you're wide open every snap. That's different. And now to be out here in an environment in a big stadium like Neyland, and you got man coverage, and you make a play like that, and it was man, by the way. He beats his man with the speed released off the outside, creates that separation, a well-thrown football, and is making his mark here on this spring game.
And that brings us to the half. So 2 big. And the kickoff from J.T. Carver gets us underway on or I should say the catch from Deshaun Bishop, with none of those kickoffs being live.
And it looks like you are correct, my friend. We are going to see Schuler, I believe, on this offensive drive. He is in the huddle here with the offense.
Navy Schuler, the redshirt freshman from Western North Carolina, out of the town of Fletcher. His 3rd year with Tennessee. Spent 2 years at App State. His dad, Heath, former SEC Player of the Year in 1993, second in the Heisman Trophy voting to Charlie Ward. And he takes over here 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line with Hunter Barnes with him in the backfield. So empty set. And they call him down as he took off and started to run. That was Joshua Heldson in pursuit into the backfield for a loss of 3, 2nd down 13. The throw ball pops loose in and out of the hands of Trey Weary. And Dustin, to go back to that 1st down play there, first snap of the day for Schuler, always have to remember what expectations and realizations are coming out of a game like this. This is a staff that believes this is the deepest, the most talented defensive line in the country against an offensive line that's missing several starters today.
Yeah, I think anybody who was coming into this game thinking that the offensive line was going to have a great day probably fooling themselves. This defensive line, mostly healthy, mostly playing in this game. As you mentioned, the offensive line maybe down four starters potentially in this game. So a lot of the backups playing against some of the starters, more so in the first half than what we'll see here in the second and third quarter, as we get a little bit of a running clock and get an opportunity to see some of the younger players try to make their mark.
And the most enthusiastic comment yesterday from Tim Banks, who's going into year 4 as the defensive coordinator here for the Vols, was about the defensive line that he says is the tip of the spear. Everything else flows through what they do. If they're able to get pressure, that makes everybody's life easier, and that's why they want that position group so deep, to keep so many fresh bodies cycling through there and make life hectic for opposing offensive lines.
Well, and I got to tell you, when I played way back in the day, of course at Ohio State, our defensive line was fantastic. It made my life in the secondary so much easier. And so when you talk about trying to, make that pass coverage, the pass defense better, I think it really does start up front. And this defense is built from front to back, and that's really what you want. And when you can rotate 13 guys, you can keep guys fresh. It allows you to be able to play a little bit more man coverage on the outside, which I think puts pressure on the opposing team's offense. And then what it also does is it allows you to pressure a little bit more. And so quarterbacks have to get the football out a lot quicker. And then you talk about that man coverage on the outside. That helps tremendously.
One of the guys, Rodney Garner, the defensive line coach, has said has really improved, Jason Jenkins, who 2 years ago played just 3 snaps, got into 6 games last year at defensive end, bringing back Eason and Thomas across the middle, and then James Pierce Jr., first team All-SEC last year, and the SEC's leading returning tackle for loss and sack leader coming back this year, Nimrod, on the edge.
How about Nico getting another series here in the second half?
A perfect 7 for 7 through the air for Iamaleava. Last year played 5 games in 2023. His most regular season action came at the end of the year as he loads up and goes deep down the sideline. And a little bit too much sizzle on the pass for Caleb Webb. 2023 played the most in the regular season, that 24-point win over Vanderbilt, and then of course took off in the 35-0 win in the bowl game over Iowa.
But that Iowa game was interesting too. Very low scoring to start, and then all of a sudden Tennessee just opens that thing wide open, and really a big part of it was Nico's ability with his legs. Those 3 touchdown runs, it got things going, and I think that's where Vols fans really got excited about the prospects of Nico for this season. Obviously it's tough to lose a quarterback like Joe Milton, but Nico steps in with all kinds of hype, and I think he's got a really, really good head on his shoulders to be able to handle this. And you talked about earlier, Mike, his leadership and how he's been able to come in here as a young player. And I think the veterans around him have responded, because I think everybody knows, and that's always important, when your teammates know that you're the guy, that's when they buy in. And it also helps the coaching staff too, when you've got a quarterback that can lead, not only with his words and by being vocal, because he's not the most vocal guy in the world. He will be as he gets a little bit older, but by showing with actions. And he's a really, really good kid by all accounts.
Jackson Ross on to punt here to Boo Carter, the freshman. Dustin, you and I took in practice yesterday morning in the indoor facility, because I'm amazed, by the way, that Josh Dobbs got out and played golf yesterday. It was raining sideways in Knoxville yesterday, but watching Jackson Ross punt, which he can do with both feet, by the way, I'm surprised that there aren't a few holes in the ceiling of the indoor facility with how much velocity he gets on the ball. That one goes for 47 yards.
Yeah, and it didn't matter which leg. What a challenge that is for the opposing team's punt returner. When you're a punt returner, you're sitting back there, you know exactly how that ball is going to come off a right leg kicker or a left leg kicker, and this guy can sit back there like he's Jose Ramirez in the box and be a switch hitter, I should say.
So 14-14, orange and white, 9:30 and counting here in the third, as Jake Merklinger, who ran for about a 25-yard touchdown in the first, gets the ball here, 1st and 10, back at the 13-yard line after the punt from Jackson Ross.
Still got some of the starters in here. Brazel's in the slot right in front of me.
Play action, 1st down. And that's Dante Thornton coming back after the ankle injury. Gain of 14. That injury against Missouri in November. And they said that when he got hurt, fortunately, by the time that they came back for the second semester in January, he was just about ready to go. Now the second year since he transferred over from Oregon, where he spent 2 seasons with the Ducks. Dustin, he's going to be a crucial part of the offense in 2024.
Yeah, and he was disappointed with last season, how things had gone for him in terms of his production. The injuries were a concern. And listen, a player like with his talent, he could have transferred again if he wanted to. Instead, he comes back to Tennessee with a lot to prove. And now when you add another receiver like Brazel on the other side, I like what they're doing. And again, keeping these guys in through the third quarter is interesting to see. I really do believe they want to see the chemistry they can build with this offense and those guys being on the field at the same time.
This is 3rd down and 8. Flag is thrown at the snap. Deep ball downfield, a couple of strides clear. It's Brazel to the 10, the 5, and that's a touchdown.
And you're going to have a flag.
Offside on the defense. That penalty is declined. Results of play is a touchdown.
He beats Jalen McMurray right off the line of scrimmage, and I'm not so sure exactly who it was on. Did he announce a number, Mike? Because I think McMurray might have been offsides in his defense of Brazel on the outside.
McMurray, the cornerback transfer in from Temple. That's another crucial part, is getting experience in that secondary. He played almost 1,500 snaps for the Owls and comes here with 2 years to play. So when they went into the transfer portal, they brought in Jalen McMurray at corner, Jacoby Thomas, who was their starter at safety at Middle Tennessee State, and Jermod McCoy at the other cornerback spot. Having guys who were ready and big game experience was a big part of what they were looking for.
And the other thing McMurray brings to the table is his versatility. You know, was able to play a little bit inside at that star position and then also outside. 2 completely different positions. A lot of people think when you play corner, playing inside versus outside is very similar. No, it's not. It's much different. And to be able to have that versatility to do that, they always say the more you can do. McMurray can do a lot, but I'll tell you who can do more. How about Chris Brazel taking this one to the house?
Heading into year 4 of the Josh Heupel era, last year injuries were certainly part of the story. One of those was an injury to wide receiver Brew McCoy, who was lost for the year in October, a season-ending lower body injury. And so as he gets healthy, ready to return for the 2024 season, he's certainly going to have a lot of insight, a lot of experience, joining Squirrel White out there, Dante Thornton and Chris Brazel. And Brew McCoy is down on the sideline with Dustin Fox as we get ready to get back to action here. 4:41 to go in the third. Let's go down to Dustin.
Hey, Mike, we got one of the best wide receivers for the Volunteers here, battling back from an injury. Brew McCoy, how we doing, man?
Doing great, man. Enjoying it.
How's the rehab process been for you?
It's every day. It's tedious, but it's great. It's fun. You know, I enjoy it.
You know, let's go back to last year. You know, obviously the injury is really frustrating. It happens in the middle of the year. You're off to a good start. How tough was that to have to watch your guys throughout the rest of the season, knowing had you been out there, you'd be able to help the guys?
It was tough. I mean, it was tough at first, and then you realize, like, you know, this is what you as a leader have to do to push them. This is why you were pushing them. So that you go down, you can't be there, you can't be out in the field. Like, you've pushed them enough in the offseason that they can go out and handle business.
So where are you at mentally in terms of what you have left to prove, what you want to show Volunteer Nation here this season?
I think that, I mean, what I want to show Vol Nation is just that the amount of work we put in, we deserve to go have the success. And that's collective, that's fans, players, coaches, everybody. Like, the success is imminent, and the work's been put in. And then just me personally, I got a lot to prove to myself. Just like an injury like this, you want to come out and show yourself, hey, I'm not only the same player, but I'm better. And I can still improve and push the needle on myself. So, and there's a lot to prove, and there's a lot to go out and do. And that's why I push myself the way I do every day.
There's no doubt people are excited about the wide receiver group. They're really excited about your quarterback, Nico. What have you seen out of him? And you're smiling, man. You're excited about Nico. Talk to me about your young quarterback.
Man, I mean, he's like a receiver's dream. You know, he's an accurate passer. He can extend plays. He's great on his feet. And he's smart. And he's a ball player. So when you're looking at, like, what you got in front of you, there's not a better quarterback. And then he's just a great dude and a great teammate.
And so let's go to that wide receiver room, because that you guys are going to help Nico. A freshman quarterback needs weapons on the outside. You guys have a ton, and then when you get back healthy, it's going to be phenomenal. I'm assuming. How close are you guys in that room? You guys got a bunch of dudes. I'm guessing you guys have a little bit of fun in the quarterback or the wide receiver room.
Man, we do. I mean, it's like a brotherhood. Like those are my brothers. That's my family. We lean on each other for everything, and it goes off the field too. Like we really look out for each other, and I think that helps with us all wanting to have like success. You know, nobody's really. It's competition, but we want to see us all win. You know.
What have you seen out of the young freshman receiver Matthews?
A lot of maturity, man. Like he's supposed to be in high school. He's acting like a third, fourth-year guy. I mean, he carries himself well. He shows up every day. He doesn't miss stuff, and he's really like picked up everything super quick. I couldn't even do it that quick when I came in early, so I commend him for all of that.
We got a chance to watch the video of all the kids that sent you those cards. That was pretty cool, man.
No doubt, yeah. I mean, shout out South Knoxville for real. Like that elementary school, all the teachers, everybody, the staff. It was cool to meet them, and I mean, you got to see how cool that was.
We appreciate the time, and best of luck to you.
Appreciate you.
There is Brew McCoy. Back to you, Mike.
All right, flag is down on a deep ball into double coverage down the far sideline, and the ball is caught, but unfortunately out of bounds there for Trey Weary on the deep throw with a flag down at the 41.
On the defense, number 98, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, third down.
Hey, Dustin, what is that learning curve, if you go back to your freshman year at Ohio State, of just being able to grasp all of the things, not just the playbook, but what your life is like now? Like you said, he's supposed to be in high school and has the maturity of a guy who's a junior or a senior.
Goodness, Mike, I can't even imagine, what it's like. For me, I was just swimming, trying to learn the defense, trying to learn, where you got to go to class, where I got to go to eat. I mean, you think about those little things just being a freshman in college, and on top of that, you tack on the responsibilities of being a player, and I can't imagine being a quarterback, having to learn an offense and all these things. So it's certainly a challenge, and now with guys coming in a little bit early, I do think that sort of helps them, because you can get established a little bit earlier on, but nonetheless, it's like being a rookie all over again in the NFL. It's almost the exact same thing. You're just really just trying to find your way.
And that's such a difference maker, too, for guys like Mike Matthews, who arrive here early, Boo Carter on the defensive side, to be able to have that leg up with these spring practices under your belt. By the time that preseason camp rolls around, you're just about ready to go. That was Ryan Dameron at quarterback there. Defense sent heavy pressure, so the redshirt freshman walk-on's pass goes incomplete to bring up 4th down and 4. Dameron, who chose the Vols over offers from East Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky, and Jackson Ross with a punt down to the 10 for Jermod McCoy, 47 yards. They said today, if you had to put together a starting 2 deep, that McCoy at corner there would be a starter. First-year guy from Oregon State, native of Texas, 3 years to play, and there's going to be chaos every offseason. Jonathan Smith has a phenomenal season for the Beavers.
Of the third quarter.
Leaves Oregon State, and their conference changing as well. They feel like there's so much untapped potential for Jermod McCoy at corner.
And McCoy is been really kind of fun to watch here throughout this game. I like the 2 young transfers. I guess they're not that young. But you look at McMurray, the transfer from Temple, McCoy from Oregon State. I think they've got a bright future here in the secondary.
So what a gorgeous day here, and post-game concert to follow here after folks file out of Neyland. And then I know at least one guy in this building is heading over to the baseball stadium as well, Dustin Fox, for a continuation of a big series against LSU.
I hear SEC baseball is where it's at, buddy.
So you've never been?
I have not. And
you don't even know what you're missing.
And we got a top 25 matchup this afternoon. What a day here on Rocky Top. You got the spring game, you got fans everywhere. You talk about these concerts, there's fans outside having a block party, a watch party for Mike Cousins. They all want to see you. And then you got the baseball game. I can't wait.
Baseball and softball both are ranked top 5 in the country. You had Rick Barnes' basketball team doing the Vol Walk earlier today after they had a phenomenal season. Took a deep run. SEC regular season champions outright for the first time since 07-08, and reached the Elite 8 for just the 2nd time ever. And you've got the excitement of a new women's basketball coach coming in, a young fresh face. So lots of things to be happy about.
By the way, I had the Volunteers in my bracket winning it all.
Easy for you to say now. There's no way for us to fact check that.
Go Go on ESPN. I got my bracket. I'll show you how bad I was.
You were all in on Dalton Connect.
Man, they could have just got past Purdue.
This was the year you were going to have the perfect bracket, right?
It was close.
Gaston Moore a little bit high on the slant to the outside. Third down and 5. Defense drops 7. That's a first down throw. A catch, a run, a little bit of nifty move in there from Dayton Sneed, who's had a pretty good day on the outside.
Yeah, Sneed's a very interesting prospect here for these guys. I mean, only had 1 catch last season, but so far in this game, he's made a couple of catches and a lot of yards after catch, making guys miss. You love seeing that.
Yeah, 20 yards there on the catch and run, and a handoff nets 5 yards to Khalifa Keith, who's hoping to play a bigger role this year as well. The sophomore out of Birmingham, Alabama. Last year was mostly a special teamer, and 11 carries for 24 yards a season ago. Long throw to the numbers. 1 missed tackle, make it 2, and a third is what it takes to bring down Caleb Webb. That's 13 more yards. And after a slow start first quarter offensively, things have really picked up. Tennessee quarterbacks overall have produced 3,000 yards of total offense now 3 straight years. That's every year of the Josh Heupel era. You go back, Dustin, in the history of this program, 1950 up until 2020, the year before Heupel arrived. That play is blown dead. Tennessee had a quarterback produce 3,000 yards of total offense 5 times in 70 years, and it's happened now in 3 straight seasons.
Well, and obviously a big reason for that is Josh Heupel and the explosive offense that he brings. And on top of that, you have to talk about recruiting and being able to get these players in, whether it be through the portal or through the traditional, high school route. And I think when you're a quarterback coming out, you look at offenses and you say, where do I fit? And if you want to, run and gun and have the ability to run a little bit too, and you're mobile, this is the perfect fit for a guy like Nico. And, Joe Milton the season ago and Hendon Hooker before that.
In Heupel's 3 seasons, the Vols have averaged 483 yards a game. That's 4th in the country and ranked 3rd in scoring at 39 points a game, only behind Ohio State and Georgia. And I love this one because it's fun to watch. They've taken a snap once every 20.8 seconds. Fastest pace in FBS.
Do you have a stopwatch up there?
I got a phone. And Josh Heupel is one of just 3 Tennessee coaches to take the program to bowl games in each of his first 3 seasons.
All right, what's your call on 3rd and 18 here?
Do you want what I would do if I were playing Madden or what I expect? Because what I expect is a draw.
I know what you do on Madden.
Chuck it. And instead it ends up with a sack, which of course quarterbacks can't be taken down in this game. But talk about what Tim Banks has done in his 3 seasons as defensive coordinator. 297 tackles for loss, most in the SEC, and 41 sacks last year, Dustin. Most since a school record 50 back in the year 2000.
I think he's done a really good job with his defense, and being able to recruit some of these top players for that defensive front certainly helps. I think it's going to be interesting how he's able to mesh that group in the back end, because that's really the most important part of this particular team in this team defense. And remember, Coach Banks is a former defensive back himself by trade, so he spends a lot of time in that room, and so he'll have his hands all over the defensive backs in the secondary as they try to.
With Cal and Stanford joining, and SMU giving it a presence in the middle of the country. So a bigger SEC, and for the Vols as they head into 2024, a really cool schedule. The opener against Chattanooga, week 2, taking on NC State for the first time since 2012. That was a win in Atlanta that year, and only the 2nd trip ever to North Carolina in the last 60 seasons. They'll play that game in Charlotte. Dustin, I think what's really cool about this schedule, though, is from October 12th to November 9th. You've got 4 games plus a bye week in there. It's going to be 4 straight home games, all against SEC opponents. And the last time that happened was Tulane in the SEC in 1947, and they left the league in '66.
Well, that's certainly going to help them, because there's no doubt in college football what a huge home field advantage there is. But to start the season, I mean, a bit of a bugaboo. You got to go on the road to NC State, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. I mean, it's going to be tough to start it, but if you can somehow get through that little bit of a gauntlet to start the year, you're going to have a chance.
Well, Dustin, what we saw today from Nico Iamaleava was impressive. There's lots of reason for optimism based off of not only what we've seen here today, but guys who are returning from injury, sitting out today for whatever the reason might have been, to build a really strong contender in the SEC, which is going to be, as we just talked about moments ago, an even more difficult conference to win in this year.
Yeah, listen, the one thing that stands out to me is speed. I think they got speed on both sides of the football, and that's going to help them in this conference. There's no doubt about that. I was impressed with the quarterback play. We talked a ton about Nico as we went through the broadcast, but I thought I was really impressed with the wide receivers, especially Brazel. Excuse me, the transfer from Tulane was really impressive. And then Matthews, the young freshman, showed a lot as well. I think good things ahead. I'm not saying they're definitely going to be in the playoff, but they've got enough talent to certainly be in that mix.
Multiple recruiting classes in for Josh Heupel. The culture is in place. The depth as good or better than it's ever been. The defense built around a really strong defensive line. Experience brought in the secondary. And talk about a strong culture. Guys who choose to come back and use their 6th year. Cooper Mays, Javontes Spraggins, Brew McCoy, who we heard from during the broadcast. This is a team that is all running the same race together. So now it's time to watch and wait until the start of preseason camp, and then the opener and a challenging SEC schedule for the Tennessee Volunteers. But a high-scoring, exciting, fast-paced offense, fun to watch here this afternoon in Neyland Stadium. Thanks to everybody who joined us here today, whether it was some VFLs like Josh Dobbs, Brew McCoy, Nico Iamaleava, and for Dustin Fox down on the field.